Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome back for second breakfast. It's Wednesday, Hump Day. How's everybody doing out there? Let's see what we got going on here. So I dropped a video this morning, another top 10. Almost thought I was done with that, but the top 10 wandering monsters video sort of got my thoughts running toward D&D and role-playing games. So I got a couple more. Maybe I'll drop throughout the rest of the month. This morning I did my top 10 favorite magic items that I like to hand out to players to get the game moving along, give them more options, make them feel a little tougher, that sort of thing. Looks like we got Mr. DM James. How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. How are you, Shadow?
Not too bad, not too bad. Boy's still sick as a dog. Been home for 3 days, plus the weekend with some sort of flu or something. Thank God that nobody else here has caught it, but yeah, he's over in the next room coughing his guts out. So what's with you, man?
I'm just painting as always.
Yeah, I got some new stuff to paint. I was hoping that the boy was going to help me unbox this thing, but he's just not been feeling it, so it'll have to wait. Yeah, it's kind of big. It's kind of like that big yellow thing you got in the background. Sometimes a little bit different.
Starship.
Yeah. It's about a little over 2 feet long. It's a cargo ship.
Is it Final Destiny that does it or whatever?
I don't know.
It's a 3D print though, right?
Oh yeah. And it was really well done. No issues. It has these clips that clip it all together.
Yeah.
And I'm going to glue some stuff together, some not. Definitely not the roof portion, so that you can play inside it.
Okay, so you've got like a traveler ship then?
No, it's definitely not a traveler brand. It looks kind of like the Eagle One from Lost Space 1999.
Yeah, I'm putting it together. Yeah. So yeah, yours is the one because they make a few of them. Yours is the one that is built on the premise that there would be artificial gravity.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
absolutely.
laid out like a Mine.
It's laid out like an airplane.
Whereas mine is stacked like a building because it's the one that it's called the Slefner.
Yeah.
And it's built with the premise that there is no artificial gravity.
Right. What's happening, Hungar? What's happening off grid? How you guys doing?
Oh, my brother.
Yeah, he should grab the link and pop in, because he hasn't been on my show. And
he's been really weird about that.
He's really weird to begin with.
Join me.
You're going to leave that softball that in there for me. I also got. I
was just agreeing.
I got a nice little order from Gnomish Bazaar of paints. There are a couple colors I needed, and since they're in California, I like going through them. The prices are like $3.50 a bottle, and I was running out of a couple colors, that I couldn't find anywhere, so I had to kind of get the new improved versions, which is fine. Right. And then I got a bunch of. I'm always looking for yellows and oranges, of course, because aren't we all? But I got everything that said either neon or glow or something like that. That is a beautiful color.
Yeah, that's nice.
I like doing trying to do uh, object source lighting.
Yeah, that's too
Even
high speed for me, man. I'm
I
not.
try. I'm not great at it. I'm learning some of the. You only go on your brother's show. Uh, and I also got this new one called Oil Stains,
Uh
and it's
oh.
a very glossy. It's kind of like a wash, but not quite. But like, I don't know if you can see there on the barely on the little platform here. I put some oil stains to test it out, and you can still see it's kind of shiny and got a wet look to it right here.
I do see that.
I added a little extra so it would sort of pool up and look like a puddle of oil. Um,
Very cool.
yeah, right now on my table, I did a count and reorganized my paints because uh, with the speed paint set, I like keeping them in that order. That color sort
Hmm.
of uh, what do you call it, spectrum or you know so like the black is next to the gray is next to the lighter gray.
Right.
And uh, I got these boxes from Sam's Club. They have these big tins of cookies, 4 tins of metal shortbread cookies, and it keeps them nice and in a row versus something I actually spent money on, and they don't work for shit. They'd be great to hang up because that's what they're meant to do. They're trays for actually nail polish for salons and things like that. And these hold like half as many and cost like $10 each, whereas the cookies themselves and the cardboard box cost like 15. And I get to eat the cookies and I get to keep the tins for paintbrushes and colored pencils. And every year we get like one or two of these boxes, and I've now got 6 of these boxes full of paint, and it's still not enough. I still have odd bottles here and there, plus the craft paints. Last count, I think I have about 1,000 different bottles of paint, and I use every one of them. And I also recycle the dropper bottles because I despise Games Workshop's flip top spill-o-matic bottles. I just hate those things.
So, did you see my video yesterday?
Which one?
The one where I spilled
No, I did not see that one. I'm sorry.
the snake bite leather paint all over that contrast paint by Games Workshop. I hate these pots that they put that stuff in.
How
It's a big
hard would it
reason
be?
I went to. That's a big reason I actually went to Vallejo is
Mhm.
because of how much I hate Games Workshop spots. They're
Yeah, I've got
designed to make your paint dry out, and that's if you don't spill it.
spill. Yeah, and right now I've got about a dozen Reaper or Vallejo bottles soaking in different detergents to clean them out and reuse them, which I do as soon as I have an empty bottle. I'll pour because I do have about a dozen Citadel paints that I
Hmm.
still use, and I obviously I can't put the Howland Blizzard in one of those bottles because it's like a cottage cheese to make a snow effect. But I will
Right.
pour them right into an Army Painter bottle as soon as I can. Throw a couple of mixing balls in there, and if you do it right, you can actually peel off the GW label and wrap it back around the Army Painter bottle because that's the other thing. I scrape off the labels and get them as clean as humanly possible with Q-tips, and LA's
Nice.
awesome, and I'll soak them for 3 months if that's what it takes to get them clean and unsticky because that's the worst part. Is the label. Even with
Yeah.
like Gooby Gone and stuff, they're just tacky, and I hate that. But if you wrap the GW label around it, you know why the hell wouldn't you? Right?
Right.
And it, I was looking at it. I've got Reaper, Vallejo, Army Painter, all use almost the exact identical bottle. The caps are a little bit different, and the bottles are a little bit different, because of copyrights and stuff like that. But
Right.
why wouldn't you just, with the multi millions of dollars they make, design one bottle for their paints that's a dropper bottle? Why?
I don't know. When I got into painting, GW paints had screw tops. So they were still these stupid pots, but
Really?
instead of flipping open,
I
you
don't
actually had
remember
to
those. I
twist them off.
remember I remember Grenadier and the Armory had some screw tops like Tamiya bottles, which
Yeah.
I have some of those as well. Those are okay, but it's the same premise. It's gonna spill.
Yeah, that still would spill. The I was such a noob back then that I bought my first collection of Citadel paints like in a box, and I didn't read it close enough. I didn't know it was. Um, I didn't know they were inks,
Oh,
and I
okay.
remember I was trying to paint this mage's robe yellow, and I'd put the yellow ink on, and it just was so like transparent.
Oh,
I
right.
must have put 50 coats of the yellow ink on that mage trying to get
I
it
used
to
to do
look
the
yellow.
same thing with craft paints because that's all I could afford and that's all I could actually find. I didn't know uh, really much about. I mean, this was before Army Painter and Reaper and
Right.
whatever, or even Citadel when I was painting lead miniatures. So I buy craft paints and I would just water them down so much and then just glaze them. Just layer after layer after layer, which was actually kind of helpful in learning how to glaze and how to, stretch your dollar. I mean, back in the day, even then, it was like $4 for a single paintbrush. And of course, I'd buy the little ones. I started painting using toothpicks and needles, uh,
Mhm.
glued or rubber band to like a popsicle stick or something like that. I made my own clay sculpting tools out of popsicle sticks, the little knives and
Well,
spatulas and stuff.
you're an
Just
artist, man.
just because I mean, my parents were going to shell out for that. I was 12 and like, how do I paint the eyes? How do I paint the buttons? Oh, I know. I'll get something small, a needle, and it worked, but no flexibility whatsoever and no holding power of the paint. Imagine like holding the needle above a button and tapping it until just enough paint would hit the cover the top of the button. Um, but that's you got that's one of the things about this hobby, especially if you do any terrain making or things like that. You learn all kinds of craft stuffs, and fortunately I was a big fan of art from kindergarten on, and it's just it lets you use parts of your brain that you probably wouldn't use anywhere else except maybe in construction or something like that. Back in the day, there weren't really a lot of jobs that nobody was getting paid as an artist. I mean, that was just like college level kind of thing, and even then, you know the only customers you had were other hippies.
Right.
And
I first
Offgrid
started.
says, "Go
What?
ahead." Oh, I was just going to read some comments. Go ahead.
I'm now in Boot Hill and Hyperborea games. Nice. Um, do you remember the paints they used to sell at Walmart that were like they had to you had to use paint thinner? They come in little
Oh yeah,
glass.
yeah, 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 yeah. Like
That's what I
testers.
that's what I started painting my lead miniatures with at
Yeah,
first.
I used a lot of that, and then I found out I had to get paint thinner, and my parents were not happy about that. My dad was okay with it, because we also painted, army models and stuff like that. So he taught me how to, not huff the fumes from the thinner and stuff like that. But God help you if you ever wanted to take that paint off, it just it's not coming off. As some of you know, I professionally strip minis for other clients, and I made a ton of money doing it, buying old models or minis and using the different methods until I found the best stuff. I mean, I tried it all: brake fluid, thinners, acetone, pine sol, and eventually I came to LA's awesome. And there's no fumes, there's no toxicity. no
Yeah.
rough chemicals that actually pit your miniatures, because if you leave things in long enough, they will pit. And if you leave your miniatures in the wrong fluid, and like I used to have big old glass jars full of minis, and I would just throw whatever in there, not knowing until one day I found out that if you put lead and any other metal in the same container and the container contains any citrus based degreaser or cleaner, the lead will electroplate itself onto the other metal.
Hmm.
So you have this chemical reaction where the miniature is dissolving and attaching its material components onto another metal. So I'd pull out these minis that were all pitted and broken and crumbling, and then I would pull out these other minis, like tin, that were still rock hard but covered with black shit. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then I was watching something about Egyptology and how they used to electroplate things by taking gold and lemon juice or whatever citric juice they had, and the gold would magically transform itself over onto this other metal to electroplate it, make it look like gold. And they probably, this freaking magic, is alchemy. It's just, this is a chemical reaction. And I'm like, oh my god, that's what's happening to my miniatures. So now I only strip like metals in containers with the same, minis. And I usually now only do one at a time, and that prevents that stuff. And then when I'm done with the liquid, I'll strain it through a strainer and paper towels, so all the particulates will get caught, and I can recycle the LA's awesome.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
Offgrid
I've
says,
actually melted a few minis before.
how? Like on purpose?
No, like using too strong of a paint thinner and putting
Okay.
plastic in, and then
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
pull it out, and
Plastic.
the plastic's just destroyed, man. It's just like a
That's
glob.
that's the great thing about LA's awesome. It does not melt anything. I haven't tried it with 3D printed materials yet, but
Right.
it's really gentle and it's fast. Like tops, you're looking at 24 hours. I was watching Wylock. He got a bunch of like Grenadier, Ralpartha minis, and he threw them in some acetone, and I'm just like, oh. And then the dumbest thing he did. What did he use? He used a wire brush
Mm.
to scrape off the paint. And
Yeah,
so
a
I had to.
lot of guys use that LA Awesome, or there's no another one that's called like Kaboom or something like that.
Okay, I haven't tried that one. Simple
It's
green,
basically the same thing.
simple green. Don't use that. Not only does it smell like Nyquil and make you want to gag, but it's not very good. It really isn't.
It takes a long time. I mean,
It's not worth
if
it.
you don't care about waiting a long time, I guess yeah, knock yourself out. But
Well,
it
if
takes
you are
a long
in a hurry, there is a little device called a sonic cleaner, and you
Yep.
fill it with LA's Awesome, and you put the miniature in a Ziploc bag, and you put the cleaner in the Ziploc bag, because it does two things. It gives you that thin layer of plastic so it doesn't bounce around in the metal bin as
Mhm.
much, and you don't waste any of the LA's Awesome, or you don't have to use you don't have to fill the whole basin. You can just fill the bag, zip it up good, throw it in the sonic cleaner, let it vibrate for 15 minutes, and you'll pull it out and you're good to go. But if you keep doing that, you will get pitting, and you will get um, they heat up. Most sonic cleaners heat up, and that heating is enough to discolor the metal, so it doesn't look all shiny like brand new. And that's really what you want. That's when you know you did the job right. If a mini comes out shiny original metal, you know you did it perfect.
Hmm.
So Off Grid says Bill's GUOGC was awesome for networking, better than a physical con in my humble opinion. If you're isolated, housebound, or can't travel to cons, I highly recommend it. And then he says, I'm now in Boot Hill and Hyperborea games with invites to several other games, AD&D, OD&D, Shadow Dark, and Dragon Slayer. That's awesome, but one of the things I go to cons for more than anything else is the dealer room, and more than that is to actually meet people in person. There's just something about relationships. If it's completely online, there's still that element of reality that's missing. You know what I mean, James?
Kinda. I mean, I meant to
You
go
know,
to that thing and then I forgot, but I was signed up for it. And I
yeah,
mean,
I didn't find out until like a week before, and I didn't know what
yeah,
GUOGC meant.
dungeon delver.
And I was right. He's. I watch his shorts. He knows his stuff, but like I was telling off grid, that radio voice um just bothers me a little. If
I've
he
never
talks like that
noticed.
everywhere he goes, um,
Well, I mean, the
I
thing is, I've never actually met him in person, even though he lives in the same area as me.
I would do that and get back to me and let me know if he uses the radio. What was that guy's Gary Owens? You remember him on the radio? I think that
Kind
was
of,
his
sort
name.
of, but not really.
Your mom and dad probably listened to him because he's kind of before our time. My
Right.
mom and dad actually knew him, and he didn't talk like that in the real world. They have that radio voice, and it's kind of like, if that's not who you are. I don't affect my voice except when I'm playing other characters. This is me, man. I use slang. I use crappy English. I stutter. That's me.
Yeah,
Um,
I've wondered why we haven't did anything in Orlando because uh, I live here. Dave lives here, or Bill lives here. Harmony Ginger lives here.
mhm,
Uh, God only knows how many people that do YouTube stuff actually lives here. I mean, I know of two at least,
mhm.
and somehow or another, I have never seen them at my comic shop.
At your
Or if I
what?
did, I didn't even recognize them. Yeah. Shadow is
yeah,
fussy off grid. I think you'd know that by now. He is a
yeah.
persnickety
Look,
guy.
um,
Persnickety. That's the
I'm
word
sure
I was looking.
your wife would agree with me on the affectation of the voice. There's something about that. It's I don't know.
I don't know
There
if
are
she would.
reasons to do that, especially if you're if you're on the radio, if you do voiceover work, if you're in commercials, things like that. But I would never in a million years talk to my friends like that. Can you imagine that? Your friends know you're on the radio or you're doing the thing, and then they come over for dinner and you start talking like that,
It'd be, I mean,
right?
context is everything here, Shadow.
Hmm. Well,
Like,
I
there
talk
are
to everybody.
occasions, not to get too personal, when the wife really cranks up her Southern Belle accent, and I like it. But that don't mean she talks quite so thick with that Georgia accent as all the time. She's kind of got like her professional voice, and then her normal, like I think normal voice, and then her she really wants something from me voice. So, but
Off grid,
like
the
you
last
though,
one I
I
went.
don't care enough to actually change. Hey, baby. Oh, you're so pretty when you smile like that.
Are you talking about me?
I just said you can do a lot of voices.
Oh,
Oh.
not sure exactly what to do with that, but okay, I'm wondering.
I'll show you what to do with it.
Don't.
You better wonder on.
I'm wondering.
Anyway, sorry about that.
Don't even. That was something.
What?
Off grid. The last con I went to was, I think it was Wizard World, and it was like, it wasn't like a game con. It was a like comic book and sci-fi
Mhm.
whatever con, and I met Loretta Swit and a few other folks. Um,
I don't even know
I
who
don't know.
those are.
Loretta Swit, really? Hot
Yeah.
Lips Houlihan?
I never even knew what her name was. I don't think I know what any of their names are in real life. And I watched
Yeah,
MASH like every day.
yeah.
But
I didn't like her as an actress playing that part. Um, she just I don't know, something about her. It's just like not my type,
well,
you
it
know.
was her job to make you not like her. That was the whole point. Her character was supposed to be unlikable.
Well, what I meant was, like, why did everybody think she was hot? I did not think she was hot. Um, kind of,
I can answer that, Shadow. Because they were in a MASH unit, supposedly in Korea, even though the movie was more based on Vietnam, even though they said Korea. And she was one of the few women around that was putting out.
well,
Having been in the army, that's really how it works. The hot ones are the ones that put out.
but what's her name? The woman who played Gabe Kaplan, Welcome Back, Cotter's wife, was in that show, and she was gorgeous. I mean, obviously it's a type thing. I'm not into blondes unless they're not white for some reason, uh, and then it's fake, and then that's cool. Weird, right? Right?
Looking at this guy over here.
I just never,
You're
never
actually looking
really,
for a blonde
never,
Asian to marry?
or whatever. It doesn't have to be. It should be, but it isn't always.
That sounded very racist.
Uh, Everybody's racist. Freaking everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, if you literally are that woke that you roll down your windows in the worst neighborhood you drive through, you're fucking retarded.
well, if I roll my windows down in the worst neighborhood I know of, it's probably to shout something inappropriate.
There's that.
You know.
But
But remember, she was sleeping with like that one idiot Major or whatever.
Major Burns, yeah.
And
Larry
she
Linville.
also tried to throw it at like Hawkeye. She tried to throw it at his buddy
Trapper
once
John.
or twice. I mean, so she was throwing it around, man. And her face wasn't great, but her body
for the time, absolutely. And what do you mean lofty requirements? All I require is that I actually get to, shake hands with people, look them in the eye, and do the Sherlock
Here we
Holmes
go.
thing, pick up subtle clues about them, and have a dealer room where I can go buy stuff. I love that. I love swap meets and flea markets and garage sales and going to the hardware store. We had a new hardware store open up just down the street, and I was like, oh my gosh, we got an Ace hardware store. We gotta go. And my wife's like, why? What's the big deal? I'm like, well, one, it's closer than all the other hardware stores, and it's a new little business here in our town. Let's go check it out. And she's like, I don't want to go. So she sat in the car, and I'm having a good old time, looking at barbecues and just, whatever. I kid you not, 2 days.
Looking at Off Grid asking the question, and it's like Off Grid. Have you not been paying attention to Shadow for like the last year? This is why I start calling him a hipster. It's like because he's always got some persnickety like thing, which I understand. I totally get where you're coming from, Shadow. I do. So I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I do see what Off Grid's saying too. It's like,
I just want to meet people.
Like with Conan. You and I have been going around for months because I accept all Conan. You only accept a little Conan.
I only accept the stuff written by the guy who created him. Yeah. It's like this. Check this out. My absolute favorite author of all time, right? He told Neil Gaiman that he did not want anyone writing Amber stories ever. Right?
Really?
So, okay.
Lasney did that, huh?
He told people in public, don't you dare ever fucking write my shit. This is my baby. Fucking hands off. They did not even wait till his body was cold till they hired somebody to write the prequels to his fucking story.
Well, look here, man. Entertainment in the last, since the 80s at least,
It's just about the
has
dollar
just been buzzards feeding on the corpse of the things that came before. It's like no one can create anything anymore. Everything that comes out is just based on some other IP, and they do that because it's safe. Like if you make a Dune movie, you can almost guarantee that all the Dune fanatics are going to watch it.
It's safe, it's lazy, it's intellectual theft, or worse, it's bastardization, like the Star Wars movies, or various other things that were taken and deconstructed on purpose to hurt the original product. With that sort of malicious, evil, trying to destroy the thing that they claim to love mentality.
Off
And
Grid
as
Gamer,
long,
I would disagree with that. I would say that AD&D, while it did take some cues from accepted fantasy, everything in AD&D could be said to be based on like just cultural tales, from wherever. I mean, elves show up pretty much in everywhere from Germany to the West.
Mhm.
Dwarves are literally everywhere, even in Russia. The thing that Gygax made was not the fact that elves existed; it was the fact that you could roll a die 20 to kill one, and that's
well,
something
not only that, I look at it as
that didn't
as like
exist.
like all the things that you think they may have plagiarized. What they did was they created a system where you could play a game, pretend to be in those worlds if you so chose, or create brand new worlds with brand new things and ideas and concepts, in order to for lack of a better word, live out your dream or fantasy of being in those stories or being in those kinds of worlds or
You're
having
in the
those kinds of
story.
adventures.
You remember that commercial? The dungeon master says, "Whatever, you're in the story." She casts lightning bolt. Yay! It's like an old
Uh,
80s commercial.
that's going way back. I don't think that it was designed to steal
No,
from
no.
anybody. It was designed to emulate or appreciate.
Right.
Because you got to remember back then, nobody was doing that sort of hostile takeover and plagiarism of those things. Everything was too new and unknown back then for it to be something thought of as, hey, I could steal this. I could be inspired by it and write my own, but not like literally. There were no remakes in that era that I know of. There may have been
Yeah, there are
sequels,
very few, very few.
so it's
But think
uh,
about it. Okay, Snow White came out in like 1930 something, right? And then all of a sudden they do a remake and it sucks and everyone hates it. Because certain things you just can't you just shouldn't. You got to respect certain things like that. But kind of what I mean with Gary Gygax is he's kind of the guy that liked to play cops and robbers or cowboys and Indians.
exactly.
And then he just came up with a system so that when you said bang, bang, I shot you, their guy couldn't say, no, you didn't, you missed.
Exactly. That's exactly
That's
it.
all it is.
And even before Jackie knew what dice were, he was in the backyard with his buddies doing the same freaking thing. Make
Right.
believe, role playing, pretending, whatever you want to call it. There's some, and I didn't teach him how to do that. That's just what kids do. That's just like a natural human function that I don't know if any other animals do that. Do animals when they're play fighting, pretend they're fighting a rabbit instead of their brother or sister? I don't know.
Absolutely. Like when you
uh,
see your puppies or a litter of kittens constantly pouncing each other,
mhm.
they're basically, and even in humans, the play fighting and stuff was a necessary thing to
Sure,
prepare
but
the young
but
child
it's
to
weird because
actually do it really.
like you've got a litter of puppies or kittens, right? And they're play
Mhm.
fighting, but they've never seen any other animal but each other. So I got to wonder if that's not just play fighting for the sake of play fighting. Using
Well, I mean,
some
there's a
instinct.
dominance aspect to it, I'm sure.
Yeah,
But the same with young men too.
yeah, right. But
So,
they don't like play cops and robbers or wolf versus rabbit. It's me versus my brother. I'm gonna fuck with him.
well, you know what? We
Right.
will never know what they're thinking
Right. Well, maybe. I mean, go to heaven, ask God. Maybe
until
he'll tell us.
right, or until we figure out a way to. I saw an article. Well, I always say I saw an article when I watched a thing on YouTube where apparently some scientists in California had like this whole discussion with a whale because
Yeah.
they
What were they
used some kind
smoking?
of thing to figure out how to actually know what the whale's song meant.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
they
would.
were able to
I want drug tests on each and every one of them.
look. I mean, the thing's got a brain that
Sure.
weighs about the same as you do.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, they say intelligence is the wrinkles in your brain, and one of the wrinkliest brains on Earth is in an orca. And like humans, orcas are not born with instinctual whatever. They have to be taught how to be orcas, generally by their grandma.
What's up, Dean?
Hey, Dean. But yeah, the idea of imagination, I think, and I could be wrong because I'm not like some kind of professor in this, but I think it's like just how we, even when we were very primitive, learned and prepared and strengthened ourselves for the rigors of adult life.
Mm-hmm.
You're a little kid and you're swatting each other with sticks, right? You grow up, you got a sword. When you're a little kid, you were imagining you had a sword.
Yep.
And all of the time you spent running around playing sword fight eventually was going to lead to you maybe being a little bit better with a sword. And so that you wouldn't just die, Now, am I right? I don't know. Maybe not. But it sounds good to me. I will say that. It kind of makes a little bit of sense.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why animals do it too. But I don't know if they're thinking so deep about it that one day a dog's going to go looking for a D20 or something. Be like,
Yeah, I don't think it's going to go that far. But
I mean,
yeah,
before I got into D&D, my brother and I, man, we'd run around the woods, we'd make swords, and just beat the shit out of each other like nonstop. We'd shoot at each other with BB guns.
Oh, speaking of which, did you hear?
No, I didn't hear.
New York is getting ready to outlaw them.
BB guns?
Yep.
I thought the Supreme Court recently just passed a thing telling New York to stop being F-heads.
Oh, that's exactly what it takes to get them to do even more of their shenanigans.
And I'm pretty sure they just told California that their ban on magazines over 10 was unconstitutional too.
Yeah.
And then here in the state of Florida, you still have to get a tax stamp, but you no longer have to pay to get a suppressor. But I don't want a tax stamp because a tax stamp means that an ATF agent can come to your home at any time to make sure you still have the suppressor. What's up, bro? How you doing, Dean Martin? Dean Martin, look at that. This guy's into like old Las Vegas show songs and stuff.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
I was just watching the Venture Brothers, and there's this character in the last couple of seasons who is based on Dean Martin, and
yeah, I remember him.
I was wondering how many people actually got the reference and didn't think he was just some amalgamation or whatever. Like classy as hell. And Dean says, if I recall correctly, both orcas and some species of whales have grandparents like humans do. Well, technically, everything does, but I get your meaning.
No, that's what I was talking about. Orcas, they're the females when they become grandmas and can no longer reproduce. They pretty much help their daughters raise the babies. And they've been doing it as long as anybody's known anything about an orca.
Well,
And
it kind of
because
makes
orcas
sense.
have to be taught. They do not have the instinct. They have to be shown by another orca. Like the beaching themselves to get a sill, almost every orca that lives in that area will try that. 9 out of 10 will never do it again. It's only 1 in 10 orcas that learn to do it and actually don't freak out that will do it. The rest of them, the grandma will show them how to do it, and they'll be like, "No, not doing that." It's like in Italy where they catch orcas like swimming around wearing octopuses for hats. And no one knows why they did it, but then one did it, and the next thing you know, they're all doing it. And the other thing they love to do is pull the transoms off of sailboats. They're not trying to kill the humans. They think it's fun. So they run up. One of them one day said, "I'm going to pull the transom off the sailboat." Next thing you know, they're all doing it. So, yeah, they're learning. Orcas 100% are learning.
Yeah, off grid. I live in the desert, so I get my water from like you guys. So
What, you import your water from like Wyoming and all that?
yeah, but eventually it comes from
Colorado.
Canada.
Yeah.
Right? It all
I get my
trickles
water
down.
from the ground.
Uh,
In Florida, we have these deep wells that go down like 1,000 feet into the aquifer.
mhm.
And what they do now is they got wells that pump used water into the aquifer and other wells farther away that pump it out because the aquifer cleans the water, you know. And then in Kentucky, I mean, there's so many rivers and creeks everywhere. And there's a lot of underground water as well in like caves and stuff. So it's easy to, set a well up there. It's no big deal. If the water ever gets cut off from Colorado and all that shit, though, California will die. They will be done. It'll be the end of California.
Well, Newsom tried it.
Well, he
Didn't
was
work out.
trying to do that stupid shit like in Northern California. It was the California's own water they weren't being allowed to use. So they're
Because
importing
some
water
stupid
from
little
all the
fish.
neighbors.
It was endangered. I say if it's endangered, just finish it off and get on with it.
That's right.
Fuck
Serve
that.
me up that panda steak.
Not everything deserves to live forever. Things, species. What we're going to feel bad about the dinosaurs? No, it's just shit happens. Not every creature, not every culture warrants its continued existence without doing the things that it takes to continue to exist. And if these little smelt or whatever the hell they're called, these dumb little fish, don't cut the muster, then sucks to be them.
It's kind of amazing when you consider of all the life that's ever existed on Earth, what we see now is probably less than 1% of what had actually existed at some point. And I mean, that's not even, you don't even have to go back far. I mean, when the ancient Egyptians were first starting their empire, like mammoths still existed. You know what I mean? And now they're gone. And, the woolly rhinos and the ground sloths. And
I mean, do we really
there were
want
thousands of
tigers,
animals.
roaming around out in the woods? Fuck no.
I'm just saying there were thousands
And I
upon
also
thousands.
came up with another great thing. If eventually we limit the animal population to humans, cows, pigs, sheep, horses, dogs, and cats, right?
Right?
Then we guarantee if reincarnation is a thing, we can narrow it down. Nobody will have to come back as a grasshopper. You know what I mean? We'll just come back as a dog, a cat, a horse, and if you were shitty, maybe you'll come back as a chicken, a cow, a pig, a sheep, and then you got a short 2 years, and then you're, somebody's lunch or sweater.
That is funny. That's hilarious. I mean,
I hate
I'm not
the idea of
saying,
reincarnation, and those people piss me off. I can't
You
think
know
of
what?
a
you
more
sound like
horrific
Tyler
existence.
Durden.
I sound like who?
Tyler Durden.
Oh,
from
one
Fight
of my
Club.
favorite movies. So one of my favorite movies. So that works. I'll take that as a
What does he
compliment.
say? He's like
I'm
any
also a figment
animal
of
that
everybody's imagination. Gotcha.
any animal that's not willing to and reproduce for its own survival deserves to go extinct.
Hmm.
I agree. It's harsh, but I agree. I mean,
Not everything is meant to be, and not everything is forever. And the sooner we understand that here on the mortal plane of existence, the better off we all will be, and we can get on to being productive and do stuff.
it's never
There
going to
are
happen because a lot of humans are born with the innate will to control everything around them. And then when that will to control becomes we have to save this fish because it makes me feel good about myself, then you end up with what you're talking about. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, there's a lot of people on the planet that actually care more for animals than they do the other people.
Yeah, those people are incredibly deluded or have some trauma that needs to be dealt with. If you honestly, I mean, obviously, if I have to choose between a puppy and Hitler, whose life am I going to save? It's going to be the puppy. But on an
What
untested,
kind of
unknown
puppy?
strain, what?
What kind of puppy?
It don't matter.
Yeah, see, I need to know if I'm making that decision.
Okay, so if it was like
If it's
if it was like,
Pomeranian, then obviously.
yeah, but if it's like a Chihuahua or a Pit Bull,
No,
might be like,
I would save the painter first over a Chihuahua. Those things are
okay.
just evil. They got no right to live. They just shake and stare at you all day.
A
And
good
bite.
friend of mine absolutely loves those things to death. And
Oh yeah.
I
Mess
think,
with one in Mexico and see what you get.
yeah,
They don't tolerate that shit. You go down to Mexico and start kicking a Chihuahua around, they will lock your ass up.
mhm, mhm.
That's like their animal, man.
No,
You
no,
don't mess
my
with
buddy,
that.
he absolutely adores them, and he seems to he's got a way with animals. He trains dogs, and so um,
Bro, there are people out there that like those damn hairless cats. So what can you say? There's someone out there that likes everything weird. Thank you, OG. I just threw some Dune on these guys, and when it dries, I'll dry brush them up with some Iraqi sand. And
I
then,
got some of
depending
that.
on if I'm feeling frisky or not, I will either camouflage them or just leave them the way they are. I got these dice because I just opened a starter pack to get a rifleman. And for some reason, when I play Battletech, I love using dice with pips. I hate using dice with numbers. But for
Hmm.
D&D, I'm the opposite. If I'm playing D&D, I want the dice 6 to have numbers on it. But if I'm playing Battletech, I want it to have Monopoly dice, basically.
I got a mix of both. Did you see my video on new dice?
Yeah, I think you had bought like a pound of them or some shit.
No, 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 no. No, here I'll show you real quick
No?
because they're right here.
Yeah,
No,
show me.
I mean these kind of dice. Uh, this one is a trap die.
Oh, yeah, I got a bunch of those.
This one is dungeon layouts,
Got
and
that
this
one.
one's treasure.
I got a treasure die, but it's not gold. Your gold one is way cooler than the one I have.
I had colors to choose from, and I'm like, well, it's got to be gold. I mean, unless you've got like
Yeah, it's
diamond
treasure.
color, you know. Uh,
Yeah,
and
mine is like yellow. It's not gold. And then I've got a die just like that that's got like weather. And then there's another die. So the die that's got weather has one side that's like really bad weather, and you roll the second die. And it's got like, thunderstorm, lightning, whatever.
yeah, see, I have never uh, ever like struggled with what's the weather like outside kind of situation. I'm in charge of that. I make it rain. I make it snow.
You
I'm
go to
gonna
the club and make it rain.
right.
Right.
So I won't need that one, but I would like a wilderness die. Like forest, biomes, if you will.
Homie, nobody
Just
needs any dice.
no, I don't need them, but when
Yeah,
we're
you get them just because they're neat. I don't know if I'll ever roll those bastards, but
oh,
they
I've already started using the trap and the treasure die and the the dungeon generator die. Because like I was saying in the video, if my guys decide they're going to go into a dungeon, and I just made up the fact that there is a dungeon, I don't have the time to say, hold on, guys, I'm going to draw the dungeon. I mean, I will do that, draw it out, but like I'm not going to think too deep into what shape the rooms are. Just fuck it, just roll that, and roll out a couple of rooms, and they can explore them, and we'll see how far we get that night. My father had a Chihuahua when he met my mother. My mother hated it. She caught it in the crib once and left that day. She grew up on a farm. She can't stand rats, especially yippy bitey ones.
I used to like the rats at my farm, but only because I would lay up in the hayloft and shoot them with a 22. And so when my cats saw me walking out to the barn with the rifle in my hand, all the barn cats would gather around because they knew I was getting ready to shoot rats.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're laying up there and you've got the baled hay there, rats will peek out and look around, and you just pop their head off,
Off grid, I find that these dice are faster than looking anything up in a book. Even if I have the book right here and the dice right here to roll and look at the book, if I just roll the dice and it determines what I would see on the page, it's faster, and I don't have to go and have the dice out or the books out on those pages. My table here, there's no room for. I literally have this much room on my table. It's clear.
Well, I mean,
everything else is stacked and piled like James is right there. It's just faster, and it works, because I can always just re-roll if I don't like what I see.
It's just fun.
Yeah, and that,
like rolling dice.
And I got these dice for Jackie. They're downstairs. They're like they're in the video where you roll when you don't know what to do. It'll say like roll a random encounter, or ask the player, are you sure? Things like that kind of. But just the sound of rolling dice behind the screen or whatever. Just as a psychological thing, if you hear the DM rolling dice and you see him, rolling dice behind the screen, you're like, what's going on? Your ears perk up and your curiosity is piqued. It's like, uh-oh, get ready, guys. Something's going to happen. And then nothing happens.
Yeah, I don't even roll behind a screen. I roll right out and then look at it and be like, huh. And then, so anyway. We have a large shoulder.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up. Yeah, I can see. I suppose in person that is hysterical. But when all I do is virtually game, I don't have that ability to do those kind of theatrics. But that is freaking hysterical. You have large boulders.
Off-grid's basically feeding the neighborhood hawks or whatever. One thing we did, and it was kind of for an experiment, but as young kids, how you're kind of weird, is we killed a bunch of rats, and then we tracked down a yellow jacket nest, right? And we threw the dead rats by the opening that leads, because how yellow jackets build their nests in the ground. And we threw the rats in front of it. And when we came back, like the next day, there were just bones. And I was like, huh. Because, yellow jackets are meat eaters. Yeah. And you didn't know it. In Kentucky, if you go down to the really deep hollers where it's nice and cool and kind of wet, a lot of times you can find ginseng. It's American ginseng, so it's not exactly like Chinese ginseng, but it's ginseng. Mm-hmm. And companies pay big money for this stuff if you dry it, right? But really? The problem is that's the exact same area that yellow jackets like to make their nest. So when you're down there trying to pick ginseng, because it's a big root, you got to dig it out of the ground. Like my uncle one time stepped right on a yellow jacket nest and fell up to his knee in it. And those things went right up his overall, pants and just started lighting him up. because yowl jackets are mean little wasps, and they don't appreciate you stepping on their nest. They're very not happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame them. I mean,
No, they're just doing the thing that they do. But yeah, we threw rat corpses at the nest, and the owl jackets stripped them right down to the bones, like in a day. So, science. I got a like and a little bit of a talk back from. There's this girl that wears like a red wig, and I think she's Irish, and she talks about Warhammer 40K all the time.
Hmm.
She's like the Empress or whatever, 40K Empress. And in one of her videos, it's one of her recent videos, she's sitting there talking about Warhammer and how much she hates female custodians, and everyone else does too. And a little Pomeranian jumps up in her lap. So I just wrote down Pom Mom. And she wrote back and she's like, yeah, I got like 2 and blah, 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 told me all about her dogs. So I might write back to her and tell her I've got 1 too, You can see it in all my memes and thumbnails sometimes. Because, us Pomeranian people, we're weird. We are weird people. We love our Pomeranians. Even though, not that you ask Shadow, but when I'm in bed at night, my Pomeranian takes up more space than my wife or me. And he weighs 15,
how is that?
He weighs 15 pounds.
How is that possible? I mean, is he like a Stretch Armstrong dog and just like
freaking
morphs into
spite? He hates the idea that I might lay a hand on my wife. So he will get between us and literally sprawl out to keep us as far apart as possible. And my wife bought me one of those blankets that stays cold. He loves it. So he tries to pull it off of me because he wants it. So me and my dog, sometimes we don't see eye to eye on stuff. Because he's always trying to test my gangster, basically. He'll just sprawl out. And like while we're laying the way you're supposed to lay in a bed, he's laying crossways with his legs just stretched out as far as he can so he can keep us apart. Like if I roll over and put my hand on her shoulder at night, he'll run up and put his nose under my hand and move it. Because nobody touches mama. Just really protective like that. I don't know if you've ever owned a Pom, but they're funny dogs. They're just funny.
No, my dog is like that, but it's not that. It's he doesn't want anyone getting any attention but him.
Right.
If attention suddenly, like if any kind of attention's going to get had, it's going to be him.
Right.
What's happening?
Oh, look at this guy.
Dean, how you doing?
Hello, and not much different from like 5 minutes ago, but doing all right otherwise.
Glad to hear it.
What in the hell was that even about?
Like I said when I arrived first, that like, brain is tired and it's kind of annoying.
Your brain is tired?
Yeah, and it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, that was me yesterday. I had to go. I left the house at 11:30 for a doctor's appointment in North Orlando. I didn't get home till 5. I was wore out. Not
I don't do that.
Mentally.
Yeah, I've sworn off doctors. I'm not going unless I'm bleeding or something's broken.
The thing is, I have to. I have no choice. So,
how do you figure?
Because I was injured on the job, I have to go and get the extended treatment in order to keep my pension and the check coming in.
Gotcha.
And I've been doing this now for like 16 years. So, it's just part of the deal. This is what I got to do. Yeah, we just got our taxes done the other day. And even though we contributed to our IRAs and everything as much as we could, we still had to pay $700. My wife and I were both kind of pissed.
Sorry to hear that.
Wow.
Yeah, we hate paying taxes. It's like the worst thing.
Yeah. I have a friend. He's a tax accountant in New York, the state, not the city. Let's just say he sometimes dislikes being self-employed.
Right.
Because the taxes he has to pay.
Well, we all know who Asmongold is, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know he has to do his taxes quarterly.
Is it because he has a very variable
He
earnings?
can't do it by the year. They make him do it every 3 months.
Huh. That's.
I bet you if you talk to Razor Fist, he would be in that same kind of. I don't know if it's because he makes a lot of money. I don't know what the thing is, but he does his taxes quarterly. Now, I assume he might make a lot of money because he's probably a millionaire. Let's be honest.
I don't think Razor actually makes that kind of money.
Well, I know Asmongold does, though.
Sure. But I think it's unless he's done something shady, there is no constitutional justification for that. And it sounds to me like because of his views, he's being targeted, and he should get a lawyer.
Asmon? There is this possibility, though, that he wants to do it that way.
Right, then that's not a has to. That's a chooses to.
Yeah, well, you're right. I said has to, when in fact, if I'm being literal, he said I did my quarterly taxes. So I might have assumed
for
he had to.
For a guy like him, I can see where if he does them regularly, he can't screw up as easily, and so he just I'm going to do it as quick as soon as possible so that I don't overspend and I don't have any issues and I'm all on above board and they can't F with me.
Yeah, it sounds kind of like that, but also like what do you call it? That he probably like what he earns change per quarter, so he can like predict it the way they want him to.
That might be another good reason because I mean, he might be the number one streamer of whatever now, but a month from now, he could be totally falled off. You know what I mean? Because that's just the way those Twitch streamers are. Even though if he did stop Twitch streaming, he still has so many fans on YouTube that effectively, I mean, let's be honest, he don't have to do that shit anymore.
No.
He's made enough money that he could literally just log off and never log back on and never care for the rest of his life. Subscribe to Zach. Are we talking about Zach Sabbath?
No, I think that's Asmongold's real name.
Asmongold's real name is Zach? I didn't know that. I did not know.
I'm just guessing. I don't know. I don't watch him that much.
I don't know.
Every time I watch him, there's some sort of issue with the filthy living habits that he's okay with.
He cleaned his house.
Well, he is known as the Roach King.
Yeah, they used to call him Roach King because he did live basically in squalor. But like it wasn't that long ago, he actually held the camera up and showed everybody the house, and it's clean.
Yeah, but it should no one should ever get to that without a physical or mental disability being in play. And he didn't seem like the kind of guy that had either of those.
I think that Asmongold is probably deeply on the spectrum somewhere.
Could be.
I mean, watch that dude. He's sitting there talking, and his eyebrows are going wild, and he's like, I mean, they're
I've never really noticed anything odd other than
he's an odd guy. He's just an odd guy.
He does have I know, like he is looking at something and analyze it, but he does have that autism stare, as they call it.
He does, and I mean, I think he's funny as hell. Especially the feud that's been going on for like a year between him and Hassan Piker. Because Hassan, who is Chinky, Yogurt's freaking nephew, that dude is so pissed off that Asmongold is the top streamer. He won't ever shut up about. And then Asmongold, of course, has to F with him back, you know.
Asmongold has a policy of like anyone who says anything negative about me gets content farmed.
Yeah. That's what he always says. He's like, if you talk shit about me, I'll just make money. I'll monetize your ass.
Mm-hmm.
But
And admittedly, it does work.
And it does work. And then the other guy that's a big part of that clique is it's a Pegasus or something. He's like an Indian dude that lives in Singapore. And he farms Hassan Piker and Asmongold. There's like this little clique of these dudes that are always kind of like circle jerking in a way, you know. It's like one says something and it goes around the circle. Yeah, Hassan, yeah, he's the dude that shocked his dog on a live stream and then tried to deny it. And like CNN was glazing him, but now that everything's hit the shit, they're hating on him because all he does is that asshole said we deserve 9/11. He literally I mean legit roots for the people we're at war with. He hates America, and he's a
that literally should be grounds for ejection. Just saying.
Yeah, I think one of the congressmen mentioned that they were going to look into that. And then another funny thing I learned from Asmongold is on one of the shows, Chunk Yeager or whatever admitted that his grandparents were first cousins.
The pilot?
No, not Chuck Yeager. Chunk Yogurt.
Okay.
Yeah, he was literally on the show talking to people, and he's like, well, you know, to be honest, my grandparents were first cousins. And everybody was just like, huh. And then Hassan sits on and calls basically all Europeans inbred. And his freaking relatives were first cousins, man.
Which is
funny. Well, I mean, if you go back far enough, we all are. It's kind of a redundant.
What are you talking about? Go back to Noah? I mean, how far?
Yeah, I was about to say statistically, Europeans are some of the ones with the not biodiversity. What do you call it? Genetic diversity compared to others. Ethnic groups.
Right, because I mean, you guys, us guys, I should say, we mixed in with Neanderthals and Denisovians, and we conquered everything. And of course, that meant we slept with it. The only reason Hispanics even exist is because Europeans from Spain rolled around the world just having sex.
Well, then we also had the what was it called? A certain bottleneck where there's only like 1,500 people left.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago, and that's just what some people think based on DNA or something. That at one point there was like, 100 people left on the whole planet.
Yeah, it was like 1,500 or something. I mean, there's no way they could know, beyond a guess. But if that was the case, then chances are,
well, I guess
got to do what you got to do.
I mean, I'm not going to worry if first cousins of mine got married in like 1308 in Germany somewhere. I mean, at that point, come on. Who cares?
To be fair, back in 1308, first cousin marriages were illegal, so
right,
like the church wouldn't allow it.
Right. So, yeah, emotional control issues for sure. And anyone who says anything about him, he says has a psychosexual obsession with him. I don't even know what that means, but the guy's a weirdo. But yeah, so the debate that the Young Turk guy was in, somebody pointed out that 1 in 10 people on Earth are first cousins that are married. And then Younger or whatever, he admitted that his grandparents were, right? The thing they didn't get into is where all these people are that are first cousins. And the answer is Pakistan, mostly Afghanistan. Yeah. Like Pakistan is pretty much one of the most like intermingled countries on the planet, to the point that they're having a lot of like congenital issues,
Yeah, that's
because two first cousins marrying one time probably is not going to cause a bunch of stuff. But if a first cousin marries first cousin and their kid marries a first cousin, their kid marries first cousin, on and so on, you're going to end up with kids with like 6 toes and webbed feet and shit like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, a lot of
it's
blindness is going on in the UK because of that.
Oh
oh
yeah,
yeah,
that was about to bring up that apparently the biggest expense the UK is having right now is not people with chronic diseases or lifestyle Okay, maybe lifestyle disease is still high, but at least chronic disease is not one of the higher. More, it's genetic defects from cousin marriage, inbreeding. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and it's not the Anglos doing
no,
it. You know, so they have literally imported people who marry their first cousins. See, being from Kentucky, I know first cousins. Yeah, they might look hot and have a blouse full of goodies, but you know, it just ain't right.
yeah. My problem with
Shadow, I was trying to get a laugh out of you. You ignored me. You know, the whole, it's like sleeping with your sister. Yeah, she's got a blouse full of goodies, but it just ain't right.
I don't know. I think reminding Shadow of family is gonna get a Batman reaction out of me, like, "Oh, my cousins are dead."
Right. But that quote,
Now
by
that you
the
bring
way,
it up,
is from Hot
they're
Shot
not.
Part 2.
But I don't know them. I don't know who they are. I've never really. I have
Well, I'm just
cousins.
saying so everyone knows.
I met them over 55 years ago. I don't even know their names. And the one, their mother, who I do speak to, and I need to call today. She's in her like 90s. So if something happens to her, they might answer the phone when I call to find out, hey, how's it going? And then they say, oh, she passed away. There may be a conversation where
That's a
we
shame.
keep in touch, or it'll be like, well, have a nice life. Good luck with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to play out. We'll see. I'll keep you
Fair enough.
posted.
Well, I mean, you know, whatever.
Proto
But
Morlocks. Wow.
I like those die 12s though.
I do too. Uh, they will speed things up at the very least. And I'm not a big you know dice collector when it comes to just for the sake of having more dice. I
Yeah,
want
dice
everything to be
gremlin.
functional and use. Like I've got a D30. I never use. It's in a box. I know where it is, but I haven't used it in decades. So I'm not going to go buy more.
Well,
No matter
when I
how
To be
cool
fair,
play,
the
it
only
looks.
time I've seen a D30 ever used were that GM series of like random tale books that Adventure
right.
D30, whatever they're called.
When I ran DCC, I bought the DCC dice, and that's like got a die 30, like a die 24, a die 20, a die. It's like like 10 dice. So it's the 6 dice you would normally use, and then dice in between.
Mhm.
And the reason is instead of doing bonuses in DCC, like saying, "Hey, you get a bonus to hit," you do a die upgrade. So if they normally roll a die 20 to hit and they get a little bit of a bonus, they get to roll die 24.
Yeah, I hate those kind of mechanics where you just get a bigger die. That still means you can roll a one. I like solid numbers I can count on, not bigger, wider swings of variables. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with
Not
Shadow there.
disagreeing.
That's why I don't like Savage Worlds mechanics. I don't like Top Secret New World Order mechanics. I don't like the new. I guess it's Savage Worlds also. Deadlands.
Yeah.
It's like, what are my numbers? What are
Basically,
my
the
chances?
rule
You
set
know,
Shadow for Pinnacle Games
yeah,
become Savage World
yeah.
or whatever, because they put out a game that was a skirmish game, Wild West skirmish game for Deadlands, and then that skirmish rule set become the Savage Worlds bullshit or whatever.
Yeah,
And they let you
it's like
orange book die.
with stats. My physical or mental stats don't go up and down like on a minute by minute basis. In my opinion, maybe they do, and I've never noticed it. But you know what I mean. I know they're pretty steady. I can do this. I cannot do that. but I can pretty much count on this, and just I know they try to make it it's a little more nuanced than I just explained or derailed or derided, but I'm just so
My
used to
folks
it.
didn't like it either, Shadow. So you're not alone. I ran DCC. I thought it was fine. Players were like, nah. Well, all right. Whatever.
I mean,
So
you can
I
always,
got OSC or no, we went back to AD&D at that point.
Yeah, Dungeon Crawl Classic also have the issue that like it's a very good dungeon crawl, and that's it. There is no what do I do next kind of thing.
I would say there's kind of a lot of rules in it though that you could like still like if a player's playing an elf, they can get like an elf only power, and the elf in my group, his elf only power is he could make a spell roll, which I know Shadow don't like, but the better he rolled, it meant he could open a portal in one tree that would lead to any other tree within a range. And it was like the higher he rolled, the more people could pass through that portal. But it was always one, if you know. So
I'm sorry, I'm just
two
spoiled.
trees.
I've seen a lot of Magic systems over the years, and
Yeah.
I was spoiled early on where the Magic abuser did not have to roll to see if his spell worked. The guy's getting a saving throw.
Right.
You know what I mean? To see if they can avoid the effects of the spell. Having both, I got to roll, and then he gets a save. Well, did the spell work or not? The two rolls sort
Well,
of
the first roll is
contradict each other.
determine if the spell worked, and the second roll is determine if the opponent got out of the way.
But if the opponent got out of the way, then the spell didn't work.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know if yes, you've played Epic. It's the same concept as rolling to hit, rolling to wound, and then having your opponent roll his armor set.
Epic didn't have a roll to wound, but 40K did.
Right. Right.
You had to say, yeah. It's like that rule.
Make that armor set.
Right. If I hit and then I got to roll to wound, why do you get a save? Because I already proved that I wounded by rolling to wound. It's what's the word I'm looking for?
Again, Shadow, I can't disagree with you. I'm just telling you what is.
Mm-hmm.
It makes like what you're saying. Yeah, you're right.
It's just rolling dice for the sake of rolling dice, thinking that rolling dice is fun, even if it's redundant. Did I do it or not? Yes, but he gets to see if you didn't do it or not. It's basically what it boils down to. You can word it and justify it, but either I succeeded or not. Did I roll to succeed? Yes. Then we're done.
This is why Shadow, I always thought like the box set battle system was in its way a better system than like Warhammer Fantasy. Because when two units clash, the units basically roll the dice to hit, and they do an amount of damage equal to the weapon they're using. Mm-hmm. And that amount of damage is how many hit die worth of opponents that will die. Mm-hmm. And they have to roll versus armor class. So if like a light armored group of goblins attack a group of plate mail knights, they got to roll really high to even do anything, right? And if the plate mail knights each have one hit die, that means the goblins got to do 10 points of damage to remove one knight.
Right.
That's a much better system, really.
Yeah, it's been many, many decades since I had battle systems. I might look into getting it just to.
You can get off the strike.
Yeah,
the original one that had the giant riding a freaking triceratops on the cover, and the box came with all the counters.
I think I had the other one. I don't remember if I had that one. I know it was like a reddish brown, reddish orange box, and
that would be it, because the next BAL system was a hardbound book. BAL system.
Okay, I had the box set, and I had a lot of fun with it, but the players did not want to be involved in that kind of thing. Because they saw it as too much responsibility and too many chances to die, and I'm like, or too many chances to be a hero, you freaking cowards.
Well, they're not wrong, because when you use a player character in battle system, the character's level is their hit points. So if a 10th level fighter charges into a unit of orcs, there is a kind of a good chance they may kill him. But in your imagination, you have to remember that each orc in that unit are 10 orcs just being swarmed. You know, he's got like 20 orcs jumping on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Shadow. There was, ironically enough, there was a game system that didn't have saves like D&D, but like you just you just saw if you hit as the mage.
4th edition, right?
Yes. They only have you rolled a save if there was a continuous effect you could resist eventually.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird though because White Box, AD&D 2nd edition, BX, Palladium, you never had to roll a hit or to see if your spell worked. It just did. Uh, but I mean, most of those systems had the drawback of your wizard's body was made out of paper, and could be if he got too wet he would die.
In 4th
Kind-
Ed
kind-
Shadow, all they did is make it where the player being targeted doesn't roll, the player attacking does. But literally, it's the same thing because the mage's target number is the player he's attacking save. Because they still had fortitude, will, and the dodge. So if a mage is casting a spell at an enemy, depending on the spell, they have to roll higher than their opponent's save number. So basically, they turn saves into an armor class roll. So the same thing, just done different. That's actually an aspect of 4th edition I liked.
Oh yeah, I like that too. I just don't want to, take a game that doesn't do that and then convert it to it, because that's a lot of work.
Right. If it's built into the system, from the ground floor, then what are you going to do? If you don't like the game, don't play the game. But
you could implement that save system basically in any game. You really could. I mean, you just turn the saving throw into and it made it kind of easy because if a mage casts a fireball, really, if you want to, you could have them roll 1 die, and then you just compare the number on that die to the particular saving throw number, armor class on everyone in the range, and that'll determine who gets smacked. So if they cast a fireball at a group and he rolls pretty good, the thieves are probably going to get away because they're going to have the highest reflex save. But man, fighters and whatever, they're probably going to get cooked, depending on the role. I still kept all of my D&D Essentials books because 4.5, 4.75, whatever you want to call it, D&D Essentials, they had the Heroes of the Fallen Land and Heroes of the whatever. It was actually a really good game. If you've never seen it, like everything everyone hated about 4th edition, Essentials fixed. Like all the complaints about at-wills and encounters and all the cards and all that bullshit. Yeah, 4E Essentials fixed it all and made the characters way cooler, But it was too late. Everybody already hated 4th edition. So the fact that they put out 4th edition Essentials, people were like, yeah, get the F out of here. But I ran.
4E also had the issue that so they needed to make a lot of money because Hasbro and World of Warcraft. So one of the things marketing did was make every book a core book, because they saw the core book sells more.
So you had
and that's because there's the minimum amount of books you need to play, not because people like them more than the other.
Right. So, like I said, there was literally like more than one DMGs. There was like at least 3 or 4 players' handbooks.
Yeah.
Like Player's Handbook 1, Player Handbook 2, Player's Handbook 3. And then if you were like that guy, you might go out and buy the set of cards that have all of your abilities for a certain class on them so that you can stand there and be like, well, I've got these cards, It did turn everyone into a spellcaster, basically.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Pretty much. Every kind of player in basic 4th edition played exactly the same. But 4-5 fixes it all. Mages actually have spell books again, and fighters actually just roll to attack like normal. They don't got an at will. Their at will is the roll to attack. But then a paladin might have a daily ability, and that would be smite. Well, guess what? That's in AD&D. They can smite once or twice, or lay on hands, or whatever ability.
Yeah, it wasn't smite. That was
Smite's third edition.
Yeah,
you're right. But you see what I'm saying, though. You know how in AD&D classes had limited abilities, once per day, 3 times per day, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So calling it a daily is just using a different word to say the same damn thing, So in Essentials, your Blackguard, which was evil paladins, or your paladin, they both had like a power they could use 1 time per day. And like the Blackguard had like smite, and the paladin had like a heal or something. So depending on which side of the alignment line you were on, that determined whether, honestly, I like the lawfully evil paladin devoted to hex.
I like the paladin from the Dragon magazine a little more. His backstab ability, his poison use.
Oh, the Blackguard?
The
No, it was
anti-paladin?
called the anti-paladin. The anti-paladin.
Yeah,
from
the
Dragon
anti-paladin from AD&D. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had to be a paladin to become an anti-paladin.
No, this was strictly an NPC for the GM to use. Against
I thought
the
in
party.
AD&D, a fallen paladin could become an anti-paladin.
I think that was later. This one, he's talking about the magazine one, which was strictly. This is an NPC class meant to be an antagonist, which is also why it has built in that like if it's encounter a paladin, he won't face him head on. He will always do some kind of trickery or evil.
Yeah. It's in like Best of Dragon #2, or one of the first like 25, 30 issues. Back in the day when they had a bunch of NPCs that you couldn't be as a character. They were just leveled NPCs, so that depending on what level the party was, you'd know kind of what level to throw at them. It was just it was entirely kind of based on, I want to say it was based on Phineas Fingers, Grond or Grog or whatever his name was in the comic strip. But your typical mustache twirling evil, snidely whiplash kind of, roaring 20s villain that would poison you rather than fight you.
Well, that's
invite you to dinner, pretend to be the good guy, and then poison everybody.
Immune to what do you call it? Diseases, but still a carry on them of them. So you can literally spit in a well and poison the whole village. Inflict the whole village. Yeah, it was not a PC class at all, even if you want to play evil.
Well, it was back in the Wild West days,
right?
When not everything was codified, not everything had a rule. You could just make shit up, and here's an idea, try it out, let us know in the letters section. Yeah,
one of my
miss
favorite
that
AD&D classes, Shadow, is the Duelist.
That was Dragon Magazine Best of. I've got it. It's not a bad one. I was more a fan of the. I really liked the Archer / Archer Ranger, and what was the other one? I want to say Bounty Hunter, but I don't know if that was an actual PC or.
There was a Bounty Hunter, and they introduced like not handcuffs, but whatever the medieval variety is. And you can literally try to make an attack to try to put the shackles on an opponent.
That must have been later.
It was from a Dragon magazine.
Yeah, I'm certain that there were more than one articles on the Bounty Hunter. My Dragon magazine lore only goes up to about issue 75, let's say, maybe even less.
The Duelist would be in your wheelhouse because I think it's from like 54.
Okay, yeah.
And it's basically
The
just
only
a
Dragon
fighter that can only wear leather armor but gets a bunch of dex bonuses.
Yeah, most of my Dragon magazines are the best of the first those 5 issues that literally there's more in those 5 issues of the best of Dragon magazine than you'll find helpful in the first 100 issues because there's so many articles and stories that are just like a waste of freaking time, in my opinion.
There is a
They're
database.
still going like.
There's a database that I have access to. Anyone can have. I'll find it, and then if I might post it on Discord then. But it has every single Dragon magazine. So you could just type in like or click the button. You want to look at Dragon Magazine 1. It pops up. You can read it.
Yeah, Bubba Tanner and I were doing a show on Bubba's channel for a while till things got hectic for him, where we would just review like I think we made it up to Dragon Magazine like 14 or 15 before we had to stop because of stuff. And most of the first 15 issues, there was like nothing in them that I needed right now. Back in the day, it might have, but for the most part, it was just like, yeah, quaint. That's how they did it. Nice, but I do things differently because the first 15 issues were still dealing with like white box, and white box rules are,
See,
not the best rules they
I
ever
liked
wrote.
Dragon Magazine back then, not just for like, oh, I can use this in my game, but it's where I saw advertisements for Traveler, Jaroon, Skywars of Jaroon, and all that kind of thing.
There were Arduin ads. There were Aftermath ads. There were ads for all kinds of games, play by mail, all kinds of crazy stuff that you wonder where is it now, kind of thing.
Right. There was also the dungeon arcology or ecology. It's dungeon ecology stuff, where they would go into a whole article about how exactly does a rust monster live in a dungeon. And then
those came much later.
I
think those came after like 25 or something. It was once they were a little bit more serious and less of a underground thing.
You're right.
When every game store wanted, their magazine on their shelf, things changed drastically for the way they did things.
Well, and then they had like the Sage's Corner or whatever, and it was literally like just shit Gary Gygax was saying. Like he wrote an article. There was a lot of stuff like that I liked. But yeah, I remember when like the Dragon magazine, they had like advertisements where you could order your own rubber molds to cast your own figures and shit like that. It was like wide open back then, man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool for back then. Like, it sounds like that and the Paizo era was like some of the better ones for Dragon Magazine.
Right. One of the very first game store I ever worked at was advertised in like Dragon Magazine 3, 4, or 5.
Nice.
And I'm like, no, yeah. It was like, wow, I didn't know they advertised. Our store was pretty big, but not the kind of big that I would expect that they could, that they would advertise in a magazine that was geared at like literally almost everywhere but California. You know what I mean?
Maybe somebody who worked there had went in that store and just really liked it.
Well, the owner was responsible for putting the ad in there. He had to pay Dragon Magazine, X dollars a month for the ad to be in the magazine.
Huh. So he bought an ad, and I got you. Well, if he had that kind of money,
I don't know.
Good for him.
Money was worth a lot more back then. So,
right? That's not untrue. Yeah, Dragon Magazine. I used to love it, man. It was it was right up there with Savage Sword of Conan for my every month. I knew when that shit was hitting the stand. I would be there with my $1.50
for a period of time. Yes, absolutely. I used to have a large stack of Savage Sword magazines. I don't know what happened to them, but I still have a stack about yay high of Dragon magazines plus the best of. But I never pick them up. I never look at them. It's just one of
You
those
probably
things
threw
that
your comics out in disgust when you realized some of the stories in there weren't written by R.E. Howard.
no.
So you're just like, I'm
Honestly,
burning these bastards. How dare they?
no. I always loved the art of. There was one artist in Savage Sword I couldn't stand. I forget who it was, uh, but I hated their artwork, and I wouldn't even read their stories because it's just like I hate this style. It was the exact opposite. It was like how all the artists use like a crap ton of black ink, right?
Right.
This guy was like he tried to use as little ink as possible, like he was
Yeah.
paying by the line for the ink, and he had
Yeah.
this weird sort of like cutesy almost style where everything
Oh
was
my
like
God.
cartoony.
That
I know,
joint.
right? Yeah. I hated it. I didn't like his art, but
When you
everybody
say
else,
like kind of cartoonish style, do you mean like what do you call it, like an Asterix and Obelix kind of thing, or?
no more almost like the Venture Brothers.
Yeah. I wouldn't like that. I don't remember
Yeah,
seeing it, but I got the full collection.
almost. It wasn't quite. It was a cross between like
Ah,
the Venture Brothers and Archie comics.
yeah,
The everything was fine, but the characters' faces had this sort of jughead look to them.
yeah. I can see an issue with that if you're trying to how should you say, take it serious. People getting stabbed in their faces.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
See, the artists that I liked, the artists, inkers, whatever they were, that I remember is Ernie Chan and I think Steve Buscema.
Uh, I thought Bashima was a writer, but
He
I
might have
was.
been the writer. I
But
don't know.
some of those guys did both, so it's hard to
Yeah, I
say.
don't
But
know.
I was
Maybe
like
you're right.
uh, Barry Windsor Smith, Bernie Wrightson, Shaken. But I don't know if he did any Conan. I know he did. He did the Gray Mouser, the Faffer and Gray Mouser stories.
Mhm.
I'd have to go double check. And I know the artists that did like the Cull magazines, like you know weren't as good.
Yeah, the Cole magazines, the art was never as good as the Savage Sword stuff. Even when the Conan story was actually in a Savage Sword magazine, it was still not as good. I mean, it was like they just hired somebody and said, make this Cole story. It's going to be 4 pages long, and we're going to stick it in the back. Because you remember they used to do that. They'd have like the Conan story, and then in the back it would be like Solomon Kane or Cole or whatever, but it'd be a small story, you know.
Until they got their own magazine, and even those only like Cull and Red Sonja and things like that. They never had the power, the ability to just the staying power to last very long. Like Creepy Magazine, Eerie Magazine, Vampirella, Savage Sword, Heavy Metal. Those all had a lot more
Yeah.
staying power. Lasted well into the hundreds and sometimes 200s.
Well, the thing was that even though R.E. Howard wrote Cole and he wrote Conan, I liked Conan way more. And it's kind of a weird thing because the first story Conan appears in, The Phoenix on the Sword, was originally written as a Cole story.
Yeah, I liked Cull for different reasons. The whole Serpent Men thing that never showed up in Conan. The
It did?
political intrigue. No, not in the originals. You wanted to talk Savage
Okay, I'm not
Sword.
going to argue with you about this, but I'm going to tell you there's a Savage Sword where Conan's in Shim doing piracy bullshit. And it turns out that one of the gangs in the city that's importing the drugs or whatever is actually Serpent Men. And Conan ends up like detonating all the lotus powder and blowing the whole tower up with all the serpent men in it while he jumps into the water and swims through sharks to get out, because that's exciting, right?
Yeah.
Because the guy who ran the tower, who was not a serpent person, he kept like in the tower there was like access to the sea, like a big tunnel under the tower, and anyone who pissed him off he threw in there for the sharks to eat. So there's always sharks down there, right? And I mean, even in the story, you get to see somebody pisses him off and he yanks him up by the neck and chucks him in there. He's like this big fat pirate. But then Conan ends up stabbing that dude through the head and then throwing the torch on the big pile of explosive lotus, whatever, and diving in and having to kill a couple sharks on his way out. And the tower explodes and kills the pirates and the serpent men. Now, I don't know if R.E. Howard wrote that story, but it is in Savage Sword.
Yeah, he did not.
I don't. Okay, like I said, I'm not arguing with you about this anymore. I'm done. You know my opinion. If it appeared in Savage Sword, it's canon. If it appears in Modiphius 2-20 Conan, guess what? Canon. And
So funny. It's so funny to me.
Of course, if R.E. Howard wrote it, it's super canon.
So if I got a job working for any of those people or any publication whatsoever, I could write Conan stories and it would be canon.
If the R.E. Howard estate said so, yes.
Well, what about when it goes into public domain?
I don't think it's ever going into public domain. I mean, they recently just snatched the rights from Modiphius, gave it to Monolith, but the Monolith version of the role-playing game sucks.
Eventually, everything.
The problem with Conan is there were several versions with different expiring days, and
right.
Of course, the big companies are going to say that you're using our version, even if they're one in public domain. Go ahead.
Even Steamboat Willie is public domain, so.
Well, and I know Lovecraft is now public domain. But
everything eventually happens to, that's the way the laws are created. And I'm
not doubting Shadow. I'm just pointing out that the R.E. Howard estate currently has an iron grip on the IP of Conan. It can take it away from a bastard. Just, you pissed me off because that last book on the Asians pissed us off. So now you don't get Conan. That's what happened. When Modiphius put out the 2-20 Katai book and added like martial arts and shit to it, R.E. Howard, they're like, no, you're gone. And then it went to Monolith, but the problem with Monolith is they're French and stupid. So they only made enough games for Kickstarter people. So if you didn't Kickstarter the freaking Conan Monolith version role-playing game, you're not getting it. And I even sent a message to those guys like, are you ever repenting this book? Because I want to pay $500 for it, but I would like it. You know what I'm saying? And they sent something back that was completely like we're doing the lands of Andaria or something right now. I was like, what? So yeah.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What do you think about Red Sonja?
Well, I mean, the concept I like. I'm not sure who created her. I don't think she was an R.E. Howard creation.
Wasn't.
Yeah.
She was inspired by a Robert E. Howard creation.
Was she?
But yeah.
Well, I believe you on that. I don't doubt that you probably know a lot more about Conan lore than I do. I'm just a little bit more open-minded about what I will accept as being Conan.
Yeah, I just look at myself as an advocate for the rights of the creator more than the rights of the man with the most money to do whatever they want with an IP.
Well, you know what? I get it because I'm that way with like basically everything that they ever wrote about Lord of the Rings that wasn't written by Tolkien.
Yeah,
so and Rings of Power and all that shit, I'm like, nah.
Because after we saw what happened to Star Wars, right? We saw people who went in with bad intentions, They went into to destroy and deconstruct something that millions, if not billions, of children grew up loving and dreaming about, and then they shit on it. You know what I mean?
You know what's weird is
With the purpose of shitting on it, right,
the
and
only
hurting
people who
people's.
liked the new stuff were people who were, for the most part, either hardcore Star Wars fans that just refused to give up, or new young kids.
Mhm.
Because I've got a buddy that's like older than me, and he likes the sequels and the prequels and all that shit. Likes it. And I'm just looking at him like, how do you like those? But
Yeah, even Jackie, when he was a little kid, when he was a certain age, he liked the sequels. But then, and mind you, he wasn't very old when he realized, oh, this sucks. You know what I mean? And no longer felt the same way. And mind you, all of this was before I think he was an actual teenager, like 13.
right.
But we know that there are people out there that go into a thing and a project or an IP with the sole purpose of harming it in whatever way they can come up with.
Well, we have come full circle, Shadow, because we were talking about this an hour ago. Modern writers have no talent. They're a bunch of maggots just feeding on the corpses of greater men.
I love the use of that word. That's so perfect.
And combined with that, some of these people are so far on the woke side that the fact that, you know, like when I was on Twitter a long time ago, my thumbnail was Conan with a big booty chick thrown over his shoulder, barely wearing anything, and people said shit. And it's so those are the kind of people that end up working on a Conan project, the kind of people that hate what Conan even is. And a lot of that has to do with BlackRock and
Vanguard.
All those people who will go to a company full of creatives and be like, hey, I'll give you $1 billion if you make everyone gay and black. And then the companies are like, sure, man. I mean, have you ever seen the interviews of the guy who runs like that one big megacorp talking about people don't want to believe what we want them to believe, but we can force them. And the way they're forcing it is they make it so mainstream. You see it all the time, and then it becomes normal. So
yeah,
that's not even like a weird conspiracy theory, man. I mean,
yeah, I think there was another group that said if you tell a lie like 65,000 times, it becomes true or some shit like that.
Well, yeah,
65,000 times or something.
Yeah, the commies said that.
Number. Yeah.
The commies said that, and the National Socialists said that people will believe a big lie quicker than a little lie. Mm-hmm. So both sides of that coin were into lying. But
you'll get it.
And that's just what it is. I don't know if there's been a brain drain, if like all the microplastics are just making humanity stupid. But anytime they hire a writer, if that writer is under 55 or 60 years old, you can guarantee it's going to suck. It's going to suck. Because, and I'm not trying to sit here like some boomer and be like, every generation sucks. But these young people are pretty stupid by and large. And you can see it. Like when you watch Steven Universe and you think, wow, somebody got paid to draw that.
Oh yeah, Steven's Universe is one of the
super woke cartoon.
Well, it's super woke, and it's also like one of the Horsemen. Technically, it started not with the woke, but like the art style and the humor. It started with Adventure Time, and then basically,
because I remember Jackie used to watch
whoever
that.
had the money decided we're only making those shows because they make money.
Right.
The first season of Steven Universe was actually not terrible. You could see little tiny, you know,
of what
things.
was become. Well, that's how they get you. They lure you in.
But
the first season or the first movie of the trilogy or whatever is not terrible. And then they drop, you know, the freaking Last Jedi or some bullshit on.
Right.
And you're
it was,
standing there like, you know.
Season 2, I just wouldn't allow it on my TV.
The Mandalorian. The first season was amazing. Everyone loved it. And then all of a sudden it went right to shit. And Rings of Power was just shit from the get go.
Mm-hmm.
They
Rings of
basically were
Power.
like,
I know they shouldn't have like made a Lord of the Rings thing, but it actually got better as it went on. But it was still, not good enough.
well, I mean, they changed too many of the characters too much for any like purist Tolkien fan to ever like it.
Yeah, and
And
they
they
were also
chose
like
to misunderstand like blatant shit that they knew, like everyone knows it wasn't true, but they decided to interpret it in a way to do what, like the Black Elf. They tried to argue that when Tolkien described wood elves as being somewhat swarthy, that was, that meant that the dude playing the Black Elf was actually canon. But what Tolkien said about wood elves is a lot of them were olive complexion, so Greeks basically.
Mediterranean.
Yeah, they had olive complexions and generally dark hair, but sometimes blonde hair. And then high elves like freaking Elrond, they were all tall and super pale, and they had black hair and sometimes blonde hair. Like Glorfindel had golden blonde hair, Glorfindel. But yeah, so the creators of that show, there's a part where Tolkien says that the Stores tend to be a darker skinned people than the Fallowhides or whatever, right?
The who?
The hobbits, the Stores or whatever they were called. So in the show, they decide that meant they're black hobbits. But in reality, what Tolkien meant is the one group of hobbits work outside a lot and tend to be tanned because they're the farmers and everything. Whereas like the other ones tend to be a lot more indoorsy. And Bilbo was like a mix of the two because Bilbo's dad was a whatever working class hobbits were. And his mom was Belladonna Took, who was like blonde haired and whatever. And supposedly they threw each other in a pond and killed each other. And then Frodo, of course, was a Took mostly. So, yeah, you see what I mean? How you go off on Conan? I can go off on Lord of the Rings like that. Because the people who kind of tried to justify their stupid shit by misquoting like one word, you know what I mean, in an article and not reading the rest of it, yeah, they can kiss my ass. And the problem is, if they wanted diversity, they could have had it. They could have had it. No problem. Plus, they try to make the orcs out to be the victims.
Oh, yeah.
Like, all the orcs want to do is live in peace and raise families. It's like, get that. What? But if they want dark-skinned people, they could have had the Corsairs. They could have had the Harad, the Far Harad. I mean, it's limitless. They could have had Mongolians. That would have been the Wayne Riders from the east.
And with the tiniest amount of research, they knew that. That's not what they did that for.
That's not what they wanted because they wanted to destroy what Tolkien created.
Yep.
And that's what they did. So you and I are actually sitting here agreeing 100%. Now, the Conan movie, they were not trying to destroy R.E. Howard's vision. They were just trying to make a movie.
Well, it wasn't so much that.
What are you saying?
I'm asking, do you mean like the Arnold ones?
Oh, yeah. Arnold, yeah.
Okay.
They were trying their best to capture the spirit of Conan. But
when you get a director or a producer who thinks they can do it better or they can do it the way it should have been done, and they throw in their own stuff, or they cut corners because they think it's better this way because it's a movie and it's not a book, it has to be done this way. That's bullshit. We have come to the technological point in history where we can literally make a movie of any book. And there is no special effect we cannot reproduce. It may not be great, but there's nothing we can't do. And there's no way, no written work that we cannot.
I agree. They should have put a black wig on Arnold. Okay, we agree.
Other things too.
Yeah, but I mean that would have been a nice start, right? Because Conan has black hair.
The most basic, literally, like every first page, or almost every first page of every Robert E. Howard story.
He's a tan, blue-eyed, raven-haired barbarian.
with a Prince Valiant haircut.
Right.
Because
Because
bangs.
he just cut the front of his hair off with his own knife when he's out.
Because he didn't give two
And,
shits about fashion.
And James, I also don't think
I still
Arnold
like the
would,
Conan
what do you call it, be a stranger to using fake tan dye or whatever you call it to get the
Well,
dust
I mean,
look
Spray
I
of
think
Conan.
Arnold was probably tan enough because, I mean,
Yeah,
at
he was
that time,
that was not an
he was
issue
plain tan,
whatsoever.
but he
Yeah.
should have definitely had black hair. And the fact that he was wearing a wig already, that wasn't his hair.
Oh yeah, I
When he
forgot he
joined
had
Conan,
short hair at that time.
Schwarzenegger
because
had his
no
head shaved,
bodybuilding.
basically. So basically, how you see Schwarzenegger in The Running Man was pretty much how his hair was in Conan. So they had to put. That's why he wore that leather thing around his head all the time. It was because of the wig.
It held it together.
Cake or death. I choose cake. Agree with Shadow. Look at me. Can't draw, act, or play music. We're at the dam, and I'm making animation. Well, good for you, bro. I hope you get better at it. But yeah. And as it is now, they could definitely go back to that Schwarzenegger movie and just recolor the hair and the eyes. You know what I mean? Because they got the technology to do that. They could do that.
I have a question though, James.
Yes.
I don't remember it was the first or second movie, but should they still keep the scene where he lays with that where he lays with that snake lady who then tries to kill him?
Well, she's a witch. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry, I misheard.
stuff.
I misheard Shadow.
Yeah.
No, she's a witch, and that's actually in a Conan story.
Mhm.
I mean, a similar kind of event. Conan gets lured in by a hot chick who then tries to kill him. But that happens a couple times. I mean, come on.
That happens to the best of us.
Yeah, I mean, it's Conan. There's always evil hot chicks trying
I
to
can
lure
neither
him
confirm nor
in, getting to
deny.
drop his guard.
Cake, Cake does animation, and he can
Yeah, you can probably
draw
go in and repaint
maybe
anything you want.
not perfectly, but he could take any book and decide to frame for frame reproduce every scene in a book and put it on a screen for all to see. The idea that you have to and you can't do that for every book, or you shouldn't do that for anything, it to me is
When you're
absolutely
done talking, Shadow, if you want, go on YouTube and type in animated Lovecraft. There's dudes out there who are literally by themselves animating whole Lovecraft stories.
yeah.
Like
I've seen a couple of them. I've seen a couple of them, and it just
some
just
are better
takes-
than others. But there's an animated Conan too. Conan and the Queen of the Black Coast or some shit.
the person who claims to love said IP needs to merely take their own ego out of the equation, and that's something people in Hollywood cannot do. They have to put their own stamp on it
Up.
for whatever reason. Like the one of the scenes I hated the most made me realize this whole thing during the Michael Keaton first Batman movie when he flew the Batwing up to make the bat symbol on the moon, and everybody in the audience groaned, going, "Oh!" It wasn't just me. It was like the entire audience went, "What the? Come on, dude! You just blew the immersion for all of us because you had to put the logo." You know what I mean? Like in the movie when they finally say the title of the movie in the movie, and Peter Griffin goes nuts because they do so. That kind of mentality. They need to cut that from their thought
Well, that's
process.
not going to happen because they were trying to sell toy Batwings
I understand.
and toy Bat cars and toy all that shit. So that's why every
And
movie.
I had a crap ton of them as a kid. I can't tell you how many of the original action figure Batmobile I went through because they got somehow lit on fire from attaching fireworks to them to get them to race down the street. Yeah. Piccolo Pete's were one of the greatest firework ever because they were basically just a rocket engine that you could tape to various things.
So Shadow, I'm going to take off, bro.
And me too. We normally only do this for an hour, but we did it for 2. Thanks, Dean, for sticking around, playing along. Everybody else also, have yourself a great day. I got to go do some grown up stuff. So I will see you guys
Have a good one.
probably tomorrow.